Hello everyone. You're watching Edupedia World videos and I am Vibhuti Parekh. Today we'll discuss regarding the social or cultural environment. So what is culture as per you? Culture is a very intriguing and complex factor. It is often a very critical component of business environment. Proper understanding of the cultural dimensions is very important for product development, promotion, business negotiation, human resource management, management of the social and political environment, etc. What is actually the meaning of a culture? Culture, as we can put, is the software of the mind, the social programming that runs the way we think, act, and perceive ourselves and others. In other words, our brain is simply the hardware that runs the cultural programming. The implication is that culture is not innate. It is actually a learned behavior and hence can be easily changed. Culture is a set of learned core values, beliefs, standards, knowledge, morals, laws, and behaviors shared by individuals and societies that determines how an individual acts, feels, and views oneself and others. A society's culture is passed from generation to generation, and aspects such as knowledge, religion, custom, and laws are interrelated. That is, a society's view of authority, morals, and ethics will eventually manifest itself in how an individual does business, negotiates a contract, or deals with a potential business relationship. Understanding the cultural context and mindset of a potential foreign business partner or competitor can help in developing sound strategy for negotiation and deal making. What once seemed mysterious may become more predictable and can ultimately be used at your own advantage. On the basis of various definitions of culture, Francis Merill formulates the concept of culture as follows. According to him, culture is the characteristically human product of social interaction. It is cumulative, for it is handed down from generation to generation in a given society. It is meaningful to human beings because of its symbolical quality and is therefore a basic determinant of personality and depends for its existence upon the continued functioning of society but is independent of any individual or group. Culture consists of both material culture and non-material culture. Material culture involves man-made things and man-made alterations in the environment. Non-material culture includes such factors as language, ideals, beliefs, values, etc. What are the elements of culture? Culture, the sum of total of societal behavior, includes the least three elements, namely knowledge and beliefs, ideals, and preferences. What are the knowledge and beliefs? They refer to a people's prevailing notion of reality. They include myths, beliefs, as well as scientific realities. As Rose remarks, one of the features of culture in general that is of special sociological interest is the shared quality of the belief system. People who share a given culture tend to take a hostile attitude towards those within their midst who cannot or will not accept conventional definitions of facts. What are the ideals? Ideals refer to the societal norms which define what is expected, customary, right or proper in a given situation. Norms are enforced by sanctions, that is, by rewarding the right behavior and punishing the wrong one. Folkways and more are important aspects of every culture. Folkways are norms of proper behavior that are informally enforced, but mores are norms of obligatory behavior considered vital to the welfare of the group. Last but not the least, preference is the element of culture. Preferences refer to society's definition of those things in life which are attractive or unattractive as objects of desire. Preferences may differ between cultures. Interestingly enough, the judgments of the idle or the proper do not always correspond to our judgments of the pleasant or enjoyable. An example in point is the temptation. All the things I really like to do are immoral, illegal, or fattening. As per Alexander Walcott, a culture tends to provide the standards of taste in specific lines of human activity. Taste, in the most liberal sense, varies greatly with the food consumption preferences of different cultures. But there is also taste in clothing, housing, sexual practices, and in an endless variety of possessions and activities. What is tasteful in one culture may be regarded as highly distasteful in another one. Cultural characteristics are very important in the formulation of pragmatic business strategies. The cost of ignoring customs, traditions, taboos, taste and preference, etc., can be very, very high. For example, in Italy, a US company that set up a corn processing plant found that its marketing effort failed because Italians thought of corn as a pig food. The Nestle company brews a variety of instant coffee to satisfy different national tastes. What is the organization of culture? The term organization of culture refers to the social structure and the integration of traits, complexes, and patterns that make up the cultural system. The cultures are organized or integrated does not mean that every single item of each culture is neatly and precisely integrated with everything else. It means rather that it is normal for the parts to be somewhat organized and that culture traits receive their significance and meaning out of their relation to the rest of the culture. The social structure is the web of organized relationships among individuals and groups that defines their mutual rights and liabilities, together with traits, complexes, and patterns reflects the organization of a culture. Stratification, that is, differentiation based on criteria such as age, sex, caste, occupation, education, income, and so on, is an important aspect of the social culture and structural organization. Each stratum is assigned or supposed to have a certain rank or position, role or limitations, etc. In the societal setup, it is important to recognize such roles and ranks for effective negotiation, promotions, etc. The organization of a culture is determined to a large extent by major social institutions. According to Macaire and Page, institutions are established forms or conditions of procedure characteristics of group activity. The group which performs these standardized actions has been termed by them as associations. The important common institution of modern cultures are the economic systems, the political administrative system, the educational system, religion, family, atheist and recreational institutions, etc. Such institutions have been established to meet society's common needs of a biological, sociological, psychological, economic and political nature. The type and nature of institutions reflect the common goal, aspirations and the way of achieving them. Definition and regulation of roles, position, interrelationships, etc. of the individuals and subgroups and groups and the overall organization of the culture. Cultural trait complexes and patterns also help us to understand the organization of the culture. A trait is a unit of observation. It may be a unit of normative behavior like shaking hands or saying namaste, or it may be an articraft like a cultural object such as wooden bowl. The cultural traits, complexes and patterns differ from community to community. This indicates some of the complexities involved in multicultural business. But it is not necessary that you cannot adapt. The term cultural adaptation refers to the manner in which a social system or an individual fits into the physical or social environment of some other place. The social system may be a small group, such as the family, or a large collectivity, such as an organization, or even a total society, like a tribal society. Adaptation is essential for survival. The type of clothing, food, and dwelling suitable for the climate and weather condition are forms of adaptation. Culture adaptation can be viewed in a very wide context. We have adapted to the energy crisis caused by the oil price hikes by modifying our energy policy and intensifying oil explorations, developing alternative sources of energy and restricting oil consumption. Humanity adapts to contagious diseases by immunization. Adaptation is relevant at the individual level as well. An individual who joins or accepts a new religion has to adapt himself to the beliefs and ways of that religion. A worker who becomes a member of the trade union has to fit into the objectives, rules and ways of the union. A woman who lives with her husband's family would have to fit into the culture of that family. An Indian who settles in the United States of America has to adjust to the social and physical environment there. The message for international business is that the firms and its people will have to adapt to the environment of different markets. Through a process of constant selection and constant adaptation, the moving equilibrium of life is maintained. It is often necessary to know the process and nature of the cultural environment for a successful formulation of business strategies. For example, while introducing new ideas, techniques, products, while segmenting the market, while formulating the product and promotion mix strategies, one should consider the extent to which different categories of consumers adapt to the new things or environment and the factors favoring and disfavoring adaptation. The last point to cultural adaptation is cultural shock. Environmental changes sometimes produces cultural shock, a feeling of confusion, insecurity and anxiety caused by the strangeness of the new culture. For example, if a youngster born and brought up in a large city is posted to the bank office in a remote village, he may experience a cultural shock. Similarly, a villager may experience a cultural shock when he takes up a job in a large modern company in a faraway metropolitan city or a foreign nation. They have, however, to adapt to the new culture in due course if they want to survive. Executives and other employees of foreign assignments may experience cultural shock in alien environment. Sometimes the organization itself may also suffer a shock. Proper homework to understand the culture can help avoid the shock. This also highlights the importance of the selection of people for the foreign markets. That's all for today's part. In part 2 of social and cultural environment, we will go through the cultural transmission, conformity, the cultural lack, and the cultural traits. That's all for part 1. Thank you from my part.